A few seasons ago, we were at La Boat, and Steve was right here in Smiths Falls, only he took a La Boat south towards Kingston. Well, we are back, and we have a new adventure. This time, we're gonna go from Smiths Falls all the way to Ottawa. Now, La Boat's been here for 3 years now, and they have grown significantly. In fact, their fleet as of now consists of 20 boats. And we are gonna be on the new Horizon 4, which is a 44-foot-long boat. It has 4 staterooms and 4 heads, and we can't wait to see what Ottawa looks like from the Rideau Canal as the sun goes down.
But not before a thorough orientation and pilot training. Joining us on this adventure are our diving buddies, Chris and Lorraine. One of the best things about the La Boat experience is you don't need any boating experience. Orientation covers everything from route navigation to operating the ship's systems and to piloting from either helm. Besides the standard safety gear, each boat is also equipped with a detailed ports guide, a proper set of charts, and an impressive manual in a binder to answer any question you might have about any system on the boat. It was time to turn the key and get a driving lesson. More importantly, a parking lesson. This 44-foot Horizon 4 has a 14-foot beam, but not to worry. These boats have huge hydraulic bow and stern thrusters and integrated fenders all around, making them super easy to park. After moving the boat closer to our vehicles and loading up all the gear we brought aboard, we still had time to explore the town a bit. Smiths Falls became a settlement in the early 1830s with the construction of the Rideau Canal. You could spend a few days exploring the heritage buildings. There are 21 on a walking tour, but I had to remind myself this is a boating show. Let's take a quick tour of our La Boat Horizon 4.
The aft cockpit is actually quite spacious, and of course it's covered overhead. The aft bench flips forward and back and can easily seat 5, if not 6 people. One thing I really like are how wide the side decks are, and if you notice, they're actually sloped to be a little bit lower towards the aft, and that's really handy for taking equipment and gear on and off the boat. Sturdy handholds, big railings to make sure you're safe and secure as you move forward. Of course, here's the starboard side entry door. Now here we can see 9 hatches in the upper deck, so plenty of ventilation. Forward, we have an amazing little spot for 2 people to sit and just watch the view. We also have an anchor. It's not an electric windlass, it's a manual windlass. So if you do decide to anchor somewhere overnight, you're gonna spend a little bit of time getting it back up. Plenty of room to maneuver all the way around the boat. And something interesting, the flybridge overhang is structural, so you can stand on it. No ladders on this boat, stairs all the way around, which means you can go up and down without grabbing any handles. You've got a bimini to protect you from the elements, but you have seating here for 10 people, no problem at all. We have a little barbecue here. It's European style, so it's got a plate in it. Here we'll find a little sink. And forward, these sunbeds have a little support if you want to have a little nap while underway. And here we have a 4-cylinder, 1.6-liter Nanny diesel engine, which is actually made by Kubota. It's 65 horsepower pushing the bigger boat, so it's got a little tiny turbo in it. But that's not the coolest part of the story. If you look, there's no transmission, but there is a massive hydraulic pump. So basically, the propeller and the thrusters are all operated by this hydraulic system. On the engine side, if you were to strike the bottom or anything like a rock and stop the propeller dead, quite often you'll do tons of damage to the transmission and its gears. But in this boat, because it's hydraulically activated, you don't damage the driveline system, just the propeller, which is a little cheaper if you do make that mistake. This hydraulic system also runs the thrusters. And unlike electric thrusters, where you can only lean on them for a few seconds, these guys, you can lean on them and lean on them and lean on them. And if you notice when we go to a dock or at a blue line, we actually lean on them and hold the boat against the blue line or against the dock while anyone's manning the lines. It's just so easy to drive.
Between our orientation, loading, and familiarization, our day was pretty much spent and dinner was calling. Lisa, our La Boat guru guide, had arranged dinner for us at the Lockmaster's Tap House right next to Smiths Falls. It is a gorgeous spot for a bite to eat. Stick around as we take to the water later in the show on our way towards Merrickville. After an insanely fun first day, we were on the water heading for Ottawa.
So we just left Smiths Falls, and we ran through the first lock last night just in case we were pushed for time. And we are 500 meters from lock number 2. And if I'm not mistaken, we're going to run 7 locks today. And it should take 3 or 4 hours to get to Merrickville, so we should have plenty of time to do a bit of filming and just enjoy this spectacular scenery.
These boats are intimidating to look at, but within a few minutes, we had everyone taking a turn at the wheel. First up was Chris, who piloted our comfy cruiser from Old Sliss through Edmonds to Kilmarnock, allowing the rest of us a chance to relax in the sun. Although I must say, Chris looks pretty relaxed. As we exit Kilmarnock, it was time for some lunch. But no need to stop. Our Horizon 4 hardly feels like it's moving, so making lunch on the go is no big deal. And before we knew it, we were in Merrickville, a town known for its food and artistic community.
Now, our first stop along the way towards Ottawa is Merrickville, and it lies between Smiths Falls and Manotick. And it is an absolutely incredible place to stop. There is so much to see in Merrickville. And behind me, you'll notice there's just a little tiny bay, a protected spot where you can anchor or dock overnight.
For anybody coming to the village, the diversity that we offer, we have something for everyone. You can park right downtown within a 10-minute walk. You have access to everything from groceries to post office to vet, and just on the other side of the locks, there's a full-service marina, a repair shop with diesel and gas. We also have the largest number of artists per capita in Canada. Merrickville boasts the largest number of heritage-designated buildings for its size municipality in Ontario. Behind me is the blockhouse that was built back during Colonel By days to protect the canal from the invading Americans. The musket holes, you'll see them at the top of the blockhouse, and they could aim down if you got close to the building.
Built in 1860, the Baldecan was once the largest department store between Chicago and Montreal. With 15-foot-high stone walls, this giant ballroom feels enormously spacious. There is so much to do in Merrickville, we highly recommend staying overnight. But we still had a lot of water to cover and moved the boat downriver to overnight at Nicholson's Lock. In the morning, we woke up to an eerie surprise. Turns out the fog was the perfect excuse to run back into town and have breakfast at Stella Luna. Purely for safety reasons, of course. Stella Luna Gelato Cafe is owned and operated by Tammy and Alessandro Giuliani. Their food is incredible, and their story is one of romance. True love at first sight.
As a 19-year-old girl, I was traveling the world, starting in Rome, and I never left. 3 days later, I met Alessandro, who drove up on his Ducati motorcycle. He proposed to me after 3 days, and I accepted. We call it a colpo di fulmine, which means you've been struck by lightning.
After a round of fresh lattes and delicious homemade scones, we were treated to something truly special.
This is affogato, which I'm understanding is gelato that has been drowned or smothered, and in this case, with espresso. Let's try it out. Oh my. I've had gelato, but not like this. It's incredible. Wow, what a cool stop.
So we're part of an artisanal gelato movement worldwide that is making everything from scratch using natural ingredients.
With our bellies full, it was time to get rolling. We aren't even halfway, which just goes to show how much there is to do by boat along the Rideau Canal. Join us next week as we continue our boat adventure down the Rideau Canal, stopping at Watson's Mill and Hogback Falls before arriving downtown Ottawa by boat. We are on a 4-day adventure down the Rideau Canal from Smiths Falls to Ottawa in one of the coolest boats you can rent, a boat. In last week's episode, we got a thorough orientation on how to use this Horizon 4. With a quick driving and thruster recap, Sherry was going to pilot us through the next few locks.
All right, guys, ready to go? Yeah, untie the lines.
The great thing about a boat adventure is anyone can drive these boats, which means everyone should drive these boats. That is at least half the fun. Like every boat, it takes a little time to figure out the nuances behind the wheel. Navigating is fairly easy. Since we are always going downstream the entire way, simply keep the red buoys to your port side and the green buoys to starboard. But I still like to keep one eye on navionics, just in case. Along the way, you can expect a few swing bridges, which you won't quite fit under, but the operators are great and usually have them swinging in just a few minutes. Top speed is a casual 10 kilometers per hour, which just happens to be the speed limit on the canal. You can drive wide open and relax at the same time. Locks might seem intimidating, but the lockmasters are more than willing to help with your lines and provide any necessary instructions.
And then seize your thrusters to get us to the side.
Okay, honestly, I really think anybody who hasn't gone through the locks before really has to go through the locks. Not only is it absolutely stunning, actually experiencing the locks in and of itself and what it took to actually construct these and the history, it's just incredible.
If you're like Maddie, you're gonna want to get off the boat from time to time.
Another great place to stop is Burritts Falls. There's an awesome trail here. You can walk about 2 kilometers to the falls from here, and there and back will take you about 90 minutes.
The tip-to-tip trail runs the length of the island that houses the Burritts Rapids village, a perfect spot to stretch everyone's legs. We are planning to overnight at Long Island, which is about 40 clicks downstream. While the girls are piloting our Horizon 4, let's go below and take a closer look at the impressive accommodations aboard.
So immediately aft is the galley and the salon with an enormous settee. Plenty of counter space with a sink, stove, microwave, and a little oven. Now, one thing I really like about this galley up salon area are the windows. I mean, just look at the view right now. Now, forward to starboard, we have a lower helm station, which is fantastic if you want to get out of the rain or if it gets a little cold like it did last night. But if you find you have to dock single-handed, if your partners aren't paying really close attention, there's a perfect sliding door, gives you access to the starboard deck. But what's really cool about this boat, what's so surprising, is down below. Now, first off, it's only one step down. Aft berth to port and starboard, each with their own bunks. And they're not elevated bunks, they're side by side, which means they're easy to get in and out of. But there are 4 heads, and they are huge. I have all of this room to take a shower without taking up the entire head. But forward, again, we have 2 full staterooms. All of the berths have overhead hatches that do fully open with secondary vents in case it's raining. And small pro tip, we leave our hatch open just a snitch, and we keep the screen closed so no bugs come in, and that allows all the condensation to leave the boat. And again, just check out the size of the head. Every single one of them has its own hatch. Yoo! These Horizons do have heat and air conditioning with secondary heat and air conditioning controls.
There are HVAC vents all over the boat as well to help control direction and flow of both the hot and cold air. There is quite a bit of storage on these boats, with hanging lockers in each berth.
Nobody wants a battery dying overnight. So there's 2 ways you can check them from the helm. There's also a digital meter here that lets you scroll through the batteries and the Blackwater tank capacity. And of course, the fridge batteries. Because when you fill a fridge with a lot of warm stuff, it's gonna leave them on for a while, and that can drain the battery pretty quickly. Get the engine going, and the engine will charge all the batteries. No gen set to worry about. One of the common mistakes when you're going on a boat for a few days is bringing way too much food. You can provision along the way, but if you do bring a fair bit of stuff, there is tons of storage. You can keep dry goods, or in our case, we have a few drinks. All of your cutlery, plenty of glassware, so you don't have to bring any paper plates. They've really thought of everything. And not 1, but 2 fridges aboard. They've even thought about your valuables. And if you're worried about bugs and you want to keep the salon open and airy, there is a full-length screen with a magnetic enclosure.
Ooh, it's chilly up here. Very chilly.
All right, here you go.
All right.
Where'd they go? No, it's really taking a long time. I think fish does.
Maybe.
I'm gonna go check. Okay, all right, it's a good idea.
That's a great decision.
Guys, where are you? What's going on?
Oh,
My God. Are you kidding me?
I'm just getting a drink. It's toasty down there.
Before long, we were closing in on Manotick, home to, among other things, the Watson's Mill Museum. The left fork in the canal at the southern tip of Long Island leads into Mahogany Harbor, where the town has a new set of docks to moor at, within walking distance of the town shops. Our live-boat guru guide told us this historic museum is a short 10-minute walk from the dock.
All of the actual equipment we use to produce flour is using the power from the river.
If you have the time, this is really worth the stop. Tomorrow we arrive in Ottawa, but tonight we will tie up the Long Island locks for dinner aboard. All that's left is to pour a drink or two and fire up the barbecue. Stay tuned as we arrive in Ottawa and give Maddie her first kayak ride on the Rideau Canal. Ottawa is only 20 kilometers from Long Island, and we have 8 locks, including 3 here at Long Island, to get through along the way. So we had time to utilize the large galley to make a little breakfast aboard before shoving off. The sun was out and the temperatures were starting to warm up again. The Vimy Memorial Bridge marks a transition on our journey where the scenery starts to change as we enter Nepean and the surrounding suburbs of Ottawa. At first, we notice more waterfront homes. But it isn't until just before Hogsback Falls that the juxtaposition between urban development and the tranquility of the Rideau comes into focus. The lack of late-season traffic was really helping us make good time, so we decided to stretch our legs and check out Hogsback Falls. What an awesome spot to stop!
The geology of this region dates back over 450 million years. And after you got a good look at the falls, it's worth continuing along. Because as you descend the stairs, it goes from frosty and noisy to serene and quiet.
Back on board, we decided on one more stop at the Dallas Lake Pavilion to top up on fresh water and ice before heading downtown. And if you have time, there are a few patios on the pavilion to grab a bite. But we've hardly touched any of the food in the 3 coolers we brought aboard. So, the girls made sandwiches while the boys filled the water tank. The closer we get to downtown Ottawa, the more it feels like we're trespassing in some giant amusement park. More than once, I had to check navionics and look around to make sure we were actually on the right path. But you know you are getting close when you reach the Pretoria Bridge, a vertical, table lift bridge built in 1915 that rises 19 feet straight up. Just around the corner from Pretoria, we found a spot to pull over and get the bicycles out for the very first time. If you don't have your own, live-boat will rent you bicycles, stand-up paddleboards, and even kayaks for your adventure. As we round the final corner, we get our first glimpse of Chateau Laurier, the Senate of Canada, and Parliament Hill. Yes, indeed, you can moor the boat right downtown. And once tied up, it was time for a celebratory cheers on the flybridge. In the morning, we awoke to a glorious sunrise lighting up the swim platform, the perfect spot for a morning coffee.
Well, this is our first morning in Ottawa, downtown on the Rideau Canal. And it's been a pretty big change. We came from Smiths Falls, where the towns are much quieter and the scenery is a little more sparse. But now we get all of the sounds of the city and the scenery. We have the Parliament buildings right behind us. And of course, you can just see how spectacular it looks down here in Rideau Canal. And tonight, we're looking forward to having dinner right across the canal at One Elgin Place.
Take the kayak for a little run down the canal.
Anyone want to go with them?
Oh, I'm in.
You're in?
Yeah.
All right, let's throw the kayak in.
Let's do it.
The availability of bicycles and kayaks from live-boat really helps in customizing your adventure. Of course, there are hundreds of things to do once in Ottawa, and we just brushed the surface on our very short trip. But we did manage to get to the Byward Market for beaver tails, do a little shopping, pose for Instagram, visit a pub, and the Canadian Museum of History, taking in as many sights and sounds as we could possibly squeeze into a single day. Our final day ended with a quiet dinner on the terrace at One Elgin Place right across the canal from the boat. But the trip wasn't over quite yet. Although a bit dark for our travel cameras, we did get a few cool snapshots. Thank you, Chris, for picking up the bar tab. Thank you Parks Canada staff for your exceptional lock service. And a huge thanks to Lisa from LeBoat for taking care of us all along the way. Guaranteed, we will be back for more.